Hi there, everyone. It's Michelle Patterson, and we are with the Daily Huddle. It is our 19th show. We have been going nonstop, and I have been having the time of my life. This has been so exciting, and I've got an individual on today who I was thoroughly impressed with when I first met him out in Los Angeles. He is just really rocking it when it comes to helping people heal. And let me go ahead and share with you. So it's Dr. Stephen Schwartz. So hello, Dr. Stephen.
Hello, Michelle. How are you? Thank you
I'm
for
doing-
having me on the Daily Huddle today.
I know. And so thank you so much for jumping on. We had an opening and I thought, you know what, I want to get him on before Love Fest 2020. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Stephen. He's a visionary technology designer. He's a sound alchemist, which we're going to go ahead and talk about, and a regenerative medicine expert. Dr. Schwartz has been specializing in the advanced treatment of chronic illness, allergies, autoimmune diseases, emotional imbalances. God, you're naming off all my stuff.
It's your stuff and just about everybody else's stuff.
I know. I, I,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm part of the community. So thank you for that. And he's been doing this since 2000 using exclusively energy and vibrational healing techniques and technologies. He's the founder and president of Bioharmic Technologies, which is a human optimization technology and therapeutic music company created to raise the vibration of the planet and harmonize humanity using sound, light, frequency, and vibration. He's also the author of Primal Resonance, Discovery the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance. The book discusses the top 10 lists on how to reverse aging and degeneration using sound, light, and frequency, as well as explores the new epidemic in America, chronic systemic inflammation. So thank you so much for being on the show and being a part of this. Last time I spoke to you, you were driving to Vegas. You remember that?
I do.
I called you.
What a universe has changed as we were launching. I mean, I was driving out to the Consumer Electronics Show. We were part of this private installation sponsored by a subsidiary of Yamaha. And it was designed for immersive technologies for healing and exercise. And in those 3 days, we saw over 500 people went through that installation. And it was all executives from around the world. We met the batting coach of the Yankees. We met the general manager, the assistant general manager for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and just really all high VIPs that went through with this technology. And we really launched 2020 with our Vibe technology that continued through January and through February, and it looked like it was going to happen through March, and then all of a sudden, boom, we're in a global pandemic, right? So
Who knew?
who,
I mean,
who well, nobody who knew consciously,
right.
but when I'm really looking back over what has been happening, there's a lot of things that were lining up. Can I share a quick story?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm excited about this hour because, like I said, when I met you in LA, and I walked in and I had a chance to sit on, actually have a treatment in the vibes. And that was pretty spectacular. So I knew back then, I'm like, this is going to be huge. So yeah, so share away.
Well, I just want to say real quickly was I live in Venice Beach, California, and I was living in an apartment and I was moving into another apartment, and I had a very kind of strong, I get a lot of downloads. I get a lot of moments of divine inspiration, whatever you like to call them. And it said, only sign a 6-month lease. And I was like, okay, and I was muscle testing. Is it because of whatever, this and this? Global pandemic never came up in the list
in the muscle test.
But what's interesting about the 6 months was I actually ended up signing a year lease. My landlord completely ripped up my lease at signing and was like, I'm going to make you sign this 6-month lease. And then he was going to raise my rent. And it turns out that the 6-month lease is up at the end of April. So I'm moving out of my apartment, and it's just as we're going to be coming out of this pandemic. And I feel like we're moving into a higher level of consciousness.
Mm.
And what we're moving into is 5D. We keep talking about 5G, but 5D is where we're transitioning from this three-dimensional construct and aligning ourselves into a higher vibrational resonance, of where the old constructs just aren't really operating anymore. And I feel that a lot of people that are connecting with my vibrational technology and with my message and with all of my frequency programs we've been going through this for, I mean, in my career, 20 years, as it's been moving forward. And people sometimes feel that they're not totally, comfortable here in their own bodies or in their environment or on this planet. And it's because we've been transitioning into this new dimensional reality, which abruptly occurred, I think, a month ago today. It was March 15th or something close to that, when everything started getting shut down and canceled, and
Everything started.
it's about a month
Yes.
ago. So this is our 1 month anniversary of being in quarantine.
And what's interesting too, so today, April 15th,
Mhm.
is my 1 year anniversary of when I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So I had a couple of my doctors, I put together this whole team, and I shared that with you. I had just been diagnosed when we first met, and
Oh,
I shared that with you. And so it was interesting today. It was like, okay, April 15th, and then with your comment about 5D, that's pretty
yeah.
spectacular. And I think too, it lends itself to this mindset of what we have going into this, meaning it doesn't have to be bad. Trauma can be blocked imagination. This could be a situation where this is very good for humanity. This is a reset and something that's very much needed.
Well, let's just because just because you brushed the dirt under the covers doesn't mean that the dirt's not there.
Yeah.
And really, the reason that we're in this situation, one of the blessings that came out of this whole experience was I was just in Costa Rica at the end of March, no, end of February. And one of my intentions was I needed to write my audiobook. And we're also launching a vibrational sound therapy music production certification program. And I needed to write all these things in the month of March. And I was just clearing my schedule to do that, but I wasn't planning on clearing it in this direction. But it's been amazing because I was able to write my audiobook, and we're doing the music production school. But what's interesting is I haven't reread my book cover to cover since I wrote it in 2014. And the first chapter in the book is called A New Epidemic in America. And if you replace the word America with world, it explains the global pandemic to a T.
Wow. So does
That's
this
like,
go back to your downloads?
yeah.
I mean, truly, let's talk about that because
Okay.
I agree with you. I've never spoke this way before until these last few months, and I had put together this event around my birthday. I'm celebrating 50. I'll be turning 50 May 2nd.
Happy
For
birthday.
my Thank you. For my 40th, I put together an event that had 30,000 people. It was
Oh,
called
wow.
Taste of Ladera. We had 22 charities involved, and it was a big, huge music festival. And I thought, you know what, for my 50th, I want to do a live stream. I want to have something that goes out similar to what we did with International Women's Day, where we had over 200 countries present. So we started talking about this, really, really talking about it at the beginning of the year. And we started talking about it, and it was an idea coming up in November. And what I was meditating about, and then I would get up, is I need to go ahead and create the flower of life and start connecting the dots. And so my good friend Gerardo, he gave me this pendant, and it's the flower of life. And I drew that out before I went to this workshop that we met at together. And it reminded me of happy cells. It reminded me of, and then he gave this to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I drew this out, and this is what I want to have happen, and this is what I want to do. And now, lo and behold, it's coming together and it's happening. And in fact, I want you to be a part of that. All of the speakers that we have on which is why I wanted to get you in before May 2nd, is because on May 2nd, we're bringing in individuals that are humanitarians, thought leaders, that really show up in love and not fear. They come at this where this is the information that I have to contribute. This is how I can help. And I've been able to pull together a wellness team family so that when you have a WTF moment, you can rely on this family and know what to do rather than be in flight and fright. And so you, my friend, are exactly in alignment. I mean, the work that you're doing with these technologies and sound is really the wave of the future, and is something that I think we all need to be doing in order to prepare our bodies for the 21st century. So talk to me about how you got involved with this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm a chiropractor by license, but really my undergrad, I was in sports medicine, and I found myself in Denver, Colorado, just wanting to work with Olympic athletes and professional athletes. That's when I went to undergrads for. That's what I went to chiropractic school for. And I got my first job in a clinic in Denver, Colorado. And there was a woman there that I was mentoring under, and she was doing muscle reflex testing, like a holistic practice. She was a chiropractor, and she had a waiting room full of people that had allergies and autoimmune diseases and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And everybody was happy for the most part. And they were getting better. And I was doing traditional chiropractic, and I was having a lot of my own amazing experiences just as a new doctor. I mean, this is my first year out of school. And my mother was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease when I was in school. And I remember she asked me, what can chiropractic or holistic medicine do for me? Which I didn't really know at the time. But when I saw this woman working with all these conditions, I said, maybe this is something for my mother. And she came out to visit me, and I had her appointment with this doctor. And for the first time in like 5 years, she had a shift. And this doctor said, you should go learn this. And it brought me to San Diego, to California, for the first time ever in my life. And this was in 2000. And I remember learning about muscle reflex testing, about how to test the body using like a strong and weak muscle. That was something I didn't know anything about.
And
that.
How do you put it? You put it in the palm of your hand, and they'll press down, and muscle testing. Okay.
And I went first day to learn how to do it. They had a pre-seminar before the actual training, so we needed that as a prerequisite. And I learned the basics. But more importantly, what I learned in that training was that we learned about pathogens. And if you don't know what the term pathogen means, pathogen is bacteria, viruses, parasites, mold, fungus, yeast, something called mycoplasmal infections, which are responsible for most chronic illness, and about how these can be treated vibrationally and how we can boost the immune system through vibrational resonance using muscle testing and little energy vials, which was like, kidding me? But I do remember sitting there in this class, not having any background with this at all, and just hearing one word ringing in my head. You know what that one word was? Truth. And I said, this makes a lot of sense to me. And I remember going back on Monday into my practice, which was a completely different practice. And I said, do you mind if I try this with my clients? And everybody started getting better. And that took me onto a very deep, intense, fun, amazing journey into the world of quantum physics, subconscious mind reprogramming, astrology, numerology, anything esoteric studies, homeopathic medicine. The list goes on. And I dove into everything that had an energetic background because I wanted to learn about how these things are effective for healing. And that really started the process for me. And that was in 2000. And then, I ended up going to Peru in 2004 with working with plant medicines and shaman down in the jungles. That opened me up to another level. And then we ended up really jumping forward to 2007. I was opening a big practice, and I had like 1,000 of these vials, and I started expanding, started bringing in associates, and I needed a different delivery system. And I had another download. I had another moment of inspiration that I took action on. And I said, what's a better delivery system than using these little vials? And I said, well, what about music? And one of my clients was a professional musician, had a home recording studio. And I called him and I said, hey, do you have any health issues? And he told me that he just started dating this girl that has 3 cats, and he's deathly allergic to cats.
But he likes the girl. He likes the girl.
Exactly. He likes the girl, but it's a mess. When he goes over there, she's all snotty, and it's not a good scene. And I was running a clinic at the time called the Allergy Stop, and I was actually treating a lot of cat allergies with lots of success for many years. So it was actually a perfect baseline. And I ended up treating him over the neck. We went into his recording studio and worked with Ableton music production software for the first time ever, and made this thing up. I'd never worked with it before. And we recreated my cat allergy protocol in Ableton software and treated him for a very severe cat allergy that he had. Really, out of 22 different samples that I tested him for, he was allergic to 18 of them. Over the next week, I treated him 4 times for these 18 allergens. And long story short, totally resolved his allergies.
Is he still with the girl?
Well, that's the best part. They're married.
Oh, I love it.
They have a baby.
Oh. And
they live with whatever the cats are still remaining. But that was 2007.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of my music company, Bioharmonic Technologies. And him and I went ahead and we produced my first 2 albums together, Energy Clearing and Cellular Attunement. And now since then I have 7 albums. They're all called Sonic Ceuticals. And we've been creating them. And I remember when I started creating between 2007 and 2009, I just went berserk. I just went full on like research mode into like, how do I work with frequencies and how do I work with the body and physiology? And so in 2009, Cellular Attunement was created to accompany a biofeedback system for balancing 12 different emotional relationships. And as I was receiving this and making this, I had another moment of divine inspiration that said, the way that I'm formulating this music isn't even necessarily music. It is music because you're hearing it and it sounds pleasant. But really, the way that it's being formulated into the body, it's really more like a biofeedback system and the delivery and using music. And so I had this vision of creating a delivery system. Instead of having sound be delivered through the air to the body, it would be vibrated into your body through your connective tissue.
And that's what I experienced.
That's what you experience. And that's called the vibe, vibrational, individualized body enhancement system, the vibes. And in fact, I'd like to share with you real quick. I'm a little displaced. I live in Venice. I'm now living out near Temecula during this. I moved. I didn't feel safe in that location. But those original pictures that I had the download about in 2009, I had converted into concept sketches. And I've had them in my office since then. And this is one of those original pictures. And this looks very similar to the bed.
Yeah.
This was in 2009. You lay on it. This is the original picture. You lay on this bed. This is 2009. I didn't start getting involved with vibrational technology till 2012.
And that came out 2009. Wow.
So
isn't it so amazing too, when you start putting all these pieces together? You talked about plant medicine and quantum physics. And I mean, there's so much that I want to talk to you about.
Mhm.
And of course, you know, I'm so glad that we left it for the podcast, because I want, these are friends of mine. This is my wellness team family. And I made the deal with myself that I would scour the planet and find out what's possible. You know, what is on the planet right now. I know, especially in the visions that I've been getting and the downloads that I've been getting, is it's, you know, an opportunity for me to use my genius to connect the dots with people that are figuring this out. And they're not using one modality. They're actually using multiple modalities. I mean, have you brought in plant medicine with sound? I mean, I would
So
love to work with you on that project. And
okay, well then I'm about to, this may potentially blow your mind and the mind of listeners.
my mind's already blown right now. Or it's already blown right now. And all right, so go for it. Let's hear.
So there's some basic concepts. I'm a simple man. I don't think that I'm particularly, some people call me a genius. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel though that
I do. I feel like we all have our genius, and that we are on the planet to do our genius. And we have to listen clearly to those downloads, because that's how we get connected to source, is when we are doing our genius.
that I would totally agree with. And I feel, because we all are have our geniuses. And I think the issue is that a lot of times people never tap into that genius or even know how to access that genius. Like I said, I feel like I'm a simple man. I would get a delivery and I took action on it. But in terms of, once you start getting the basics understandings down of, because here's what I know. The results that I was getting between 2000 and 2015, when I was in clinical practice every day, nothing compared in traditional medicine to the results that I was getting with conditions that people don't get results with ever. So all of a sudden, I would say to myself, I'm not like, oh, I'm some spiritual energy guru. No, it was,
yeah, you're just a dude. You're a simple guy.
I'm a simple guy, but I was following a recipe.
Okay.
And I was following a very specific program of accessing human physiology based off some very specific fundamental understandings of human physiology. And they worked. So now you can start extrapolating that into different things. And it really happened with my music. And there's a word that I like sharing. It's a really simple word. It's not even a scientific word. I'm going to share it with you and your community right now. Signature. Duh, what the heck's a signature? Like a signature that I sign my name on? Exactly. Everybody has their own unique signature. And so does that signature exist in neurology. And everything that comes into your neurological field, it's coming in with its own specific signature. So now, what we put in those little vials, you know what was in there? Energetic signatures. So I went from this whole linear process of using these vials to not using vials, to saying this is kind of a pain in the butt. I need to convert them back into vials, into taking that and converting them into biofeedback systems where we put signatures digitally into the body, and that worked. So all these things were working. And then in 2012, let's say, or before or after, I was introduced to a machine that you can plug into plants. And you can put one of the electrodes into the roots and one into
all right, now you're starting to blow my mind. Okay.
Well, I haven't even said anything yet. And what it does is it puts the field of the plant into circuit, and it filters that signature through a biofeedback into a synthesizer, and it produces music, natural music of the plant. And actually, I remember what year that was, because I moved out to California in 2015. So this was 2014. And within my first year, I bought one of those machines with the sole intention of collecting vibrational signatures of medicinal plants and trees. And so instead of eating a plant, you can lay in the field of the plant. Because really, if you study nutrition, it says it's a protein, it's a carbohydrate, it's a fat. And depending on what it is, it goes into your mouth and it gets broken down in your saliva. And then there's all these enzymes and stomach acid, and then it gets absorbed. And it talks about how much energy expenditure you're using to break down a protein and a carbohydrate and a fat. And it's a lot, it requires a lot of energy. And that's the issue with ingesting nutrients. However, if you can vibrate a neurological signature into your connective tissue, layered with specific mathematics that I've been using in my music since 2007, you now have a direct access point to stimulate chemistry. And if your listeners are saying to you, this is a bunch of BS, here's what I like to say. Why is it we're social distancing ourselves for 6 weeks? Because we're concerned about coming in people's field to catch a virus. And do you know what size viruses we're looking at here for the pandemic? Do you know what the size of a typical virus is, Michelle?
I mean, I would think you can't even see it. I mean, it's airborne. It's not even something that you can see to the eye.
A typical virus is between 0.001 or 3 millimeters. It's a speck. And picture what a cell looks like, how small a cell is. A cell is a speck. So you have a speck within a speck. And so but that is putting people in hospitals, and people are dying, and people are quarantined and having all this. So that same energetic signature of the virus can also, now what if we lay in a field of harmonic resonant music that can raise our immune system, that can
so let me ask you this,
that can reduce shock and trauma and eliminate fear. All of a sudden, the environment for which these viruses are being drawn to cease to exist. And just to finish it up with the plant medicine, I was just in Costa Rica, and I have over 70 recordings of plants and trees that I'm converting into a whole pharmacy of vibrational sound plant music. And I'm most excited about the ones that I just got in Costa Rica. I just got a live recording of the ayahuasca vine and the chacruna plant. So I can start taking people on ayahuasca sonic journeys.
That is awesome. And
5D medicine right here.
This 5D, baby. Let's go. I mean, that's huge. That is huge. So, okay. I have so many questions for you. So one of which is laying down on a patch of grass. Are you listening to the sound? Is that what you're doing? I mean, because I know that you have 8 albums. Yep. And is that part of the process? Like, for example, I live on the lake. There's a patch of grass right in front. The first thing I want to do is get online, which we're going to be listening to before we leave the podcast, is your music. But can I go ahead and download that, put it on to my, headset and go lay on the grass?
Yes and no. I'm working on that. And that's why I say with the corona, no disrespect to everybody's families that are affected business-wise or health-wise. But this 6-week process that we're through, or 2-month process that we're going to be working through, has created so much space for me to actually finish so many outline projects. And that's where our app is coming in. There's going to be more music being produced. So right now I have them on my library, and they're just basically waiting to be harvested, so to speak. Right now we have a couple of recordings that you can listen to if you go to Bioharmonic Technologies SoundCloud. You can go there and listen. I think I have rosemary, which, interesting about rosemary is one of the best antiviral plants. in the world. So, and another one is garlic, antiviral. So we're having this coronavirus issue. Yes, you can listen to that through my SoundCloud for free. I invite everybody to go there and do that. And then just know that within the next few months, I'm looking at finishing up my curriculum within the next 2 weeks, and then launching level 1 vibrational sound therapy certification program. We're moving forward with 2 different apps, and these are all my future projects. In fact, I'm going to be releasing a coronavirus specific album track. It's probably going to be a 20-minute track with signatures that I've been creating while on quarantine to
That's so awesome.
yeah, to be utilized by the masses. And it's funny because you'd think quarantine might be over soon, hopefully. But I recorded my audiobook while on quarantine. I'm writing this. So we've been launching our entire new company online. We've needed to pivot. And I feel like that's a big message for everybody that's out here that's afraid and that's scared and that's having, concern about making money or their health or whatever's going on. Those are all 3-dimensional old world problems that, in my opinion, don't exist in the new 5D world. That is occurring simultaneously. So I invite everybody to, and if somebody like, oh, Dr. Schwartz, this is all pie in the sky. No, you said this earlier, that the advanced minds of people that you've been getting to meet with, they're not using just one modality, they're using multiple modalities. And we're offering multiple modalities to help people align into this new world that we are all being invited into right now.
And so amen to that. And thank God for the positives with this reset that's happening, because every time I have a guest on and we're talking about individuals going through adversity and being able to show up in love and not fear, and what they're doing with this time, and they are in the space of creation. They're co-creating with others, and that's what's so spectacular about all of this that's happening. We just were celebrating. You're our 19th show, and this started. And you asked me. You said, Michelle, are you doing this every single day? And I said, yes, I am. And because it was just, there's so much information that's coming out where we can collaborate together and we can be spokes in a wheel and use our genius to really rock this.
Which we're doing.
And the other piece too, it's interesting because I look at just this wellness sabbatical that I've been on, and it started today, a year ago. And I had shared with you, I had a company that I started called My Jane, and then we sold it within 5 months. And my father, yeah, thank you. And my dad, his background was he was a narcotic agent.
Oh.
So here I am diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And the first protocol that I did, I went and had a PET scan, got the results, and then I went on a cannabis protocol.
Okay.
Joe Aaron with MJ's, really awesome guy. I would love to connect you guys. And this is what this is about, is really connecting this wellness team family and seeing what's possible. I went on this protocol, and within 2 months, I went in for another PET scan. And right over at Hoag Hospital, Dr. Greg, he told my family, my dad, my husband, and my sister was on, and said, we don't see results like this. So what had happened was the original tumor dropped 40%. Awesome. And then what had metastasized, because it was all over, to the point where I wasn't a candidate for surgery, what had metastasized dropped 52%. And so I've been continuing to do the plant medicine, as well as put together this team of doctors. And I would love for you to be a part of that. And what it is they're coming on board and looking at the perspective of the patient. And so when the patient is in despair, when we do have that flight and fright, when we are operating in fear, we don't make the best decisions. And I've been able to put this team together and bring challenges that we're facing. And what we did with the cannabis company is we focused on sleep, pain, anxiety, stress. And what I love that you're doing is with the vibe and with the signatures is actually addressing specifically those issues. So that way it's not this blanket, solution, for everybody. It truly is, the individual can come to the table. They can come to um, your office and be able to download that's specific to their element.
They don't even need to come to my office.
Even better, especially in a pandemic.
Yeah, this is 5D. This is about the wellness revolution. You said something very interesting about, that you have this board of, of medical people, and that they look at it from the perspective of the patient. And I'm just thinking to myself, what a novel idea.
Right? Yeah.
The only reason I got the success that I got is really from one reason. It was patient perspective medicine, because that's all that matters. I've had many cancer patients in my office. And, I'm a health facilitator. I help people achieve optimal human performance. And I believe that disease is an expression of lack of optimal human performance and expression.
Oh, okay. Can you say that like 5 more times? Because I think that's what's happening and coming up every single day. And it is the opportunity to be able to express that. So say that again, because I think that is the answer to dis-ease. I really believe that wholeheartedly.
It is the answer. And if you want to know more about the answer, I'd explain it in detail in my book, Primal Resonance, Discover the Secrets to Health, Vitality, and Optimal Human Performance, because I talk about the physiology of why exactly this is the answer. And we are physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. We are physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. If you're living in fear and pain and all these other things, and yes, you got divorced, you got laid off, you got abused, you got whatever the laundry list of all the things that happened to you and that you have no control over, that is a reality that you're trapped in. That's a dimensional reality that you are enslaved in. And I'm here to let you know, I'm here to invite you to consider a reality completely different.
Yeah.
And the choice is completely up to you, whether you choose to explore that, what I call no, it's not. Okay. It's not what I call. It's up to you if you choose to explore that dimensional shift. Because if I can give a quick definition of what a dimension, like an interdimensional portal, that sounds super spaceshipy, right? Like extraterrestrials. But let's just break down the world. Interdimensional portal. What is portal? Portal is a doorway or a gateway. What is a dimension? It's a measurable space. What's inter? A space between two spaces. So a dimension exists, and quantum physics says that we exist in infinite possibilities. Not Newtonian physics. Newtonian says is that, acceleration, this is like, ow, he hit my arm. I'm just like, this is a physical world for which we live in, and it's matter, and it's acceleration and gravity. But quantum physics says that it's all about particles and waves and infinite possibilities, and that there's infinite dimensions for which we can align. And that's where I feel this is what we're talking about, 5D versus 3D, and that are happening simultaneously. People that are are kind of halfway in and halfway out, it's very uncomfortable for them right now. But when you can fully step into 5D, we are elevating our vibrational frequency, we're elevating our vibrational resonance, and we're opening ourselves up more out of a particle space, but more into a wave expression, where we're more fluid. And in that space, we are more easily allowed to create our dimensional reality. And that's why I'm so excited for this transition that we're in right now for everybody, because everybody's being upgraded right now, if they so choose.
If they so choose. I love that because it goes to a place for me where I knew when I had the diagnosis, to not do chemo. I was told to do the highest form of chemo possible. I was told I had 90 days to live. And I thought, okay, that's not, and what I ended up doing was having my best year on the planet. I mean, I literally went from being told 90 days to coming out
Mhm.
swinging and just being like, you know what? I'm going to create this. I am going to live in possibility. I'm going to live in full integrity. And I'm going to look at what the field can bring. And it has been nothing short of miracles, the entire time. It's been so much fun.
I'd like to congratulate you on your dimensional shift. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Really,
And
sincerely, I'm offering that to you because you know what cancer is? It's very simple. Cancer is a walling off of negative vibrational resonance. What's a tumor? A tumor, depending in breast, you have a breast tumor. You have aberrant tissues that are developing, and your body is trying to wall off the rest of your healthy body so it doesn't spread.
how about different parts of your body? Because I've been told, it's the original tumor was on
Yeah.
my left breast.
Okay.
It's covering my heart.
Okay.
We talk all the time, and I'm like constantly, my husband as well. He's like, "How we doing? How we doing?" But tell me about the correlation that you think is between body parts and having the human experience with what we're going through.
I mean, it's really pretty simple. We're physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. So that means that we're energy first, body second. So by the time something has manifested energetically in our body, or physically in our body, there's been some kind of insult or trauma to that region long before. And it could have been from an auto accident, it could have been from birth, it could have been from some kind of sexual trauma that happened when you were, whoever knows how it was. It could have been from a breakup that you had with a partner. There could be a lot of different things, but what happens is it creates an energetic scar, and it anchors in cellular memory, and next thing you know, the body begins to do what it does best, which is compensate for survival purposes.
Mm.
And so now you start operating off of this hamster wheel. So yeah, if cancer is as diagnostic as it is therapeutic. And what I know about the body is that if you give it the right signature and it begins to respond, it responds quickly. So for whatever you went through, I've seen people where nothing's touching their cancer because they're so dense. They're dense. So they need to loosen, not kind of like mentally dense, but their physical reality is so dense.
What do you mean by that? Tell me more.
We're physical manifestations of our own energetic expressions. We are ultimately energy fields grounded into a physical dimension. And I don't know how much time we have left here, but if I can give you a quick other little explanation of things.
I'm so interested in what you're talking about that I don't want to stop this conversation. So
Part two.
we've got all the time in the world. Exactly.
We have, so here's just some basic physiology. Electrons, protons, neutrons spinning around. These are subatomic particles. They exist inside of a cell. The core basics of the fundamentals of these protons and neutrons, those are the nucleus of the subatomic particles. Spinning around them are these little electrons. They move from shell to shell that exists kind of like my logo behind you. Picture that with all these little spinning nano electrons jumping from shell to shell. And those are electrons. When they jump from level to level, they release a spark, and energy.
Mm.
That is a physiological,
Scientifically proven.
and you know what it's called? Photonic emission. Light release, photonic emission. That's what photonic emission means. That happens. So now extrapolate that times countless numbers of these electrons bouncing around within just spinning protons and neutrons per cell times 100 trillion. We're light bodies. That's our light body. But then you say, well, why is it I'm looking at you and I don't see your light? Some people see that because of 3D, because of the three-dimensional reality for which we operate, the difference between sound and light. Okay, because we're talking about light right now, photonic emission, light, electromagnetic fields. We're looking at radio waves, sound that we listen to, and then we move up into visible light, the rainbow, non-visible light, infrared light, further on into like microwaves and electromagnetic fields like that. That's all exists on the same plane. The only difference between light and sound is speed. Sound is light slowed down. So when you're vibrating super high and you have this emanate of light, when we now align ourselves and ground ourselves into a specific dimension in the 3D world, it slows down the light and it grounds us into a field, into a sound vibrational resonance. And it grounds us into a quote unquote physical reality. That principle right there is what I call dimensional shifting. Operating in that space where we can liberate ourselves from that grounded dimension in which cancer exists for you into a disorganized space, and then realign ourselves into a new dimensional reality in which cancer is not in that dimension for you.
No.
There is no cancer.
And I had a chance to see this. I went to a Dr. Joe Dispenza event, and I went to two of them actually. Was surreal. Ended up, they put us into teams, 2,000 people, and it was done off an algorithm. And it had 1 in 6 trillion chances where they put this team together, and it was 61 men and 1 female. Guess who the female was?
You.
Yep. And I went there for 8 days and we meditated, and it was the most, I mean, I still talk to these guys. I call them my band of brothers. And my band of brothers and sisters, there was 2 co-captains with Dr. Matt, who is the leader. And it was surreal because we were going through and watching videos, and Joe Dispenza was doing the teachings, but it's all scientifically proven. It's for decades. This is not new stuff.
Forever. This is the laws of nature. This is not the world according to Dr. Stephen Schwartz. These are the laws of physics. And so this is, but you know what lowers your immune system and what traps you in a very grounded disease space? Fear, anxiety, stress, past emotional, low self-esteem, all of lack of self-confidence. All of these are low vibrational expressions, and they ground you into that field. So what I invite all of you, all of these technologies, like the vibe systems, these are interdimensional portals for your living room. Literally, pick a vibrational resonance that you want to align yourself into, and then allow that sound vibration to vibrate into your connective tissues. Light is another one. It allows your electrons to reorient themselves using different frequencies. I work with all those things. Water. I have my fancy, let's see if you can see it, my little UMH water system right here.
Oh yeah.
It's a water structuring device. And it allows our cells to be highly conductive. And the more conductive our cells are, the faster those electrons spin, the more energy that they create. And I'm actually working with this new company that's coming to the US called the Healy, which is like a wearable biofeedback system. And it's just opening up in February. And now all of a sudden that $30,000 biofeedback device that I used to train doctors on are now accessible for anywhere between $500 and $2,500 for self-care, for frequency medicine, all 5D technologies. And so
That's amazing. That makes me really smile because that's what's been so difficult is it's been so out of reach. And that's what I want my listeners to be able to see is through my wellness journey, not only are the solutions are out there, they're readily available, where, like you said earlier, you don't have to go into your office. You can simply go online, have the 5D downloaded.
yeah.
To tell me what process I should do. And we've got the next 2 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and listen to
Okay.
some of your music. But I have in my home, I've got the sound bowls, and I've got different things, and I've got a sauna as
Okay.
well that my friends dropped off. Thank you, Kathy, for dropping that off. And so I've got these people that have just been showing up in tremendous love. And it's like, all right, Michelle, we've got this. What would you do? What would you recommend I do right away?
I mean, really, let's put it this way. You're not in acute danger anymore with your cancer because you're doing well with that. So,
And I am going into a PET scan. I have to decide, do I want to do it before Love Fest or after Love Fest? The last 2 PET scans that I did, they did show some growth. And so I want to be completely transparent in this quest that I have. And I do feel like this last process, which I want to introduce you, like I said, to my other doctors,
yeah.
because I'm doing a treatment out of Germany that I believe is already working. I mean, I could feel it in my body.
I mean, I think the number one thing is I'd want to get more of a history from you. But what we want to do is we want to clear cellular memory, which is another foundational premise that I talk about in my book. And I really have my practice since 2000 is clearing cellular memory. And how do you do that? There's water. Our cells are mostly water.
Water.
Surrounded by living connective tissue matrix, and they conduct and they receive information. It controls the way our cells replicate and communicate. Signal transduction and mitosis. These are all standard medical terms out there. And how do you access them? Through sound, light, frequency, and vibration. I would recommend you vibe and put yourself on a program and do it every day.
I even like the way it sounds. I'm going to vibe. I'm going to start vibing.
Who doesn't want to vibe?
Who doesn't?
Individualized body. Because you know what? 5D is all about the vibe.
Yeah.
And whether your listeners are into that or not, that's where we're going. And so it's fun. 5D.
Well, and that's going to be exciting to have you part of Love Fest and just to be able to share, it's an extension of the work that I did with California Women's Conference.
Yeah.
Our focus was on career, physical, financial, social, and community, but being able to give resources to women. It was an event that started 30 years ago by Governor George Duke Majan, and I had the honor to continue and keep it going. And this is truly an opportunity for us to bring these humanitarians together, bring individuals that are geniuses, that are getting these downloads, a platform so that they can share this information. So I will go on tonight.
I'd love to be a part of that.
Yeah, no,
there's one other thing I'd like to actually post, because we're doing something. So the house that I'm staying in, I left Venice Beach and I was invited by one of my team members to come live with him and his family out here and outside the city, kind of near Temecula. And we're living in a house, and he owns a company called the Ascended Experience. So Ascended Experience and Bioharmonic Technologies have partnered in forming a new organization called harmonizinghumanity.org. And we're launching
harmonizinghumanity.org. Love that.
And we're launching our first event that's going to be online. It's a Harmonizing Humanity Global Summit. And I'm blanking now on the exact date, but it's going to be, let's see, I believe it's going to be June 2nd, because we just got the website up, we got the landing pages up, we got everything going on, and we're planning on having at least 5,000 people in attendance.
Well, we just partnered with an organization that we're working with. So between your relationships, between the relationships that I have with the California Women's Conference and the UN, and you start adding up all of these different organizations and pulling us together, I would love to be a part of that. And so count us in, and we'll absolutely help support that event.
Great.
All right. So it sounds like we're going to start listening to this music. Anything you want to share about what we're going to be hearing?
Well, it sounds like we were going to listen to Abundance, which is an amplifier, but this is actually this is off my first album called Energy Clearing. And it's like sonic sage. It clears negative energy out of your nervous system, space, and dwelling. And before we can amplify ourselves, we first need to empty our buckets and clear negative energy out of our nervous system, space, and dwelling. So I invite all the listeners and all of us here right now to just take a deep breath in and just relax and give yourself permission to release all negative energy out of your nervous system, space, and dwelling.